Welcome back to the channel. On this week's video, we are going to be doing some DIY landscape lighting. We're going to be using the Hampton Bay line from Home Depot. We're going to take you through everything you need to do this job yourself, as well as a step-by-step guide on how to install everything. So stay tuned and learn how you can take your curb appeal from this to this on your own home. All right, so before we get started, let's look at everything that we need to purchase to get this job done. So first, you're going to need a transformer. This is what's going to be powered up and send the power to all of the lights that you hook up to it. We're going with the 200 watt version because we're going to be powering 8 lights total. And on the back of the box here, it's going to vary based off of the lights you choose, as well as how many lights you're going to power. But there's a formula on the back. You just need to take your lights into consideration, run this formula, and it'll spit out over here how many watts you need, as well as what kind of wire you need. To light up the corners of our house, as well as in between the windows, we're going to go with these LED color changing floodlights. So over here you have a few color options depending on the look you're going for. And again, these are just a 20 watt equivalent, so they're not going to be too bright. The last thing is these walkway lights. So we have, that sidewalk from our driveway up to our front door, and that's what we're going to use these for. And then again, using that chart on the back of the transformer box, it called for 12 gauge wire, so we're going to need 75 feet roughly for ours. I'd rather have a little bit too much than not enough. So that's really it. You need the transformer, the lights you're going to be using, and then the wire that we're going to wire the lights to. So the last thing we need to do before we get started is figure out our power source. So like I said, that transformer is going to need to be plugged in. Just so happens right around our corner here, so obviously the front of our house, we have an outlet. So what we're going to do is we're going to mount our unit right around the corner here so you don't see it from the front of the house, and we're going to connect it to this outlet here. We also need to determine where we want all of our lights to go. So you need to obviously know where you're going to be running the wire to. So what we're going to do is we're going to light up both corners of our main house. We're not going to do anything on the garage because we have those dusk to dawn lights in between each garage door. So we're going to light up, again, both corners as well as in between the 2 windows. And then we have that light by the front door. So we're going to hit those 4 corners. And then obviously it's pretty easy to see where we're going to put the walkway lights. We're going to do one here, and then we're going to alternate as we go down. All right, so we got all of our lights unboxed. So these just came in 2 sections. You had the light housing and then the metal stake. So obviously you just these are threaded, you screw the stake into the light itself. And then the same applies for our pathway lights. So using, again, our chart over here, so for my application, I've determined we need to use the 15 volt terminal, not the 12 volt. So what that means is over here, when we get to our wire, you see we have a common, a 12 volt, and a 15 volt. So for my specific application, I am going to be using the 15 volt option. So we're going to split our wire here just for simplicity to install it. And then we have to get this coating removed. So this is a bigger wire than normal. So we strip that back, do the same on the other one. And again, it doesn't matter. The instructions say which one you put to the common and which one you put to your voltage, as long as you have one to each. So I like to strip it, and then since this is stranded and not solid cable, I like to give it a quick twist, and then again, one of them goes to the common, so again, we put it all the way through, and then we tighten that screw down, give it a quick little tug to make sure it's not going to pull out. And then again, for our application, we're going to be using the 15 volt. And the same applies. We're going to push through tighten it down, making sure it's snug and it's not going to fall out on us. So now, again, all we have to do is mount this to the wall, plug it into our outlet, and run our wire to our lights. All right, so we're over here on the side of our house where we're going to be mounting our transformer. The one thing we did do is we installed our photo cell. So this is what senses when it gets dark and turns the lights on. We just screw that into the bottom here. Very straightforward. It did come with screws. So we put this one screw in. It comes with this template that tells you like exactly where your screws need to be. I just held it up there because I ripped it. And I put our one screw in already. I'm just going to use a quick little level just to make sure when we mount that it is also level. So I'm going to get this other screw mounted again, roughly about right there. Let's just test this out and make sure that it's gonna fit. We're gonna try and route this cable as discreetly as possible. Obviously it's not gonna look good right now. I'm gonna come back with zip ties and probably zip tie this cord along the downspout. So again, let's get this plugged in and we're powered up. All right, so we got that all set up. Again, like I said, we're gonna come back and clean this up. Hide these cables as best we can. But next, obviously, we're just gonna run our wire along all of our lights. We're gonna go this way, cut across, loop around the sidewalk, come back, and then hit those lights. All right, so like I said, we got all of our lights in their rough location. We got our cable, making sure we have enough to stop at every light. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna put all of our lights into the ground roughly where we want them to be. And then we're gonna obviously make the connections and see if we need to make any adjustments. So I'm not going to bury the wire tonight. That's something we're gonna come back and do tomorrow. Reason being, I want to make sure before we bury everything that we have all the lights shining exactly where we want them to be. We don't want to make, if we have to make adjustments, you know, left or right, we don't want to have to unbury the cable and then rebury it. So it's best to set them up how we think we want them, come back tonight, make sure we don't need to make adjustments, and then we can bury them after that. So let's get these put in the ground and let's get these connections made. All right, so to make these connections, again, we just want to make sure we don't have a bunch of extra wire. These come with these clips. So if you hit the prongs here, you can open it up. The wire, there's these two inside prongs. I'm not sure if you can see that well, but the wire goes in between there. And then you just push these together. And it locked into place, so that's not going to come off. And that's literally it. We just need to connect the rest of the lights. All right, so we got that wire connected. Now if we come over here to test and hit OK, we got power. So let's turn that off. Let's get the rest of these installed, and then we just gotta wait for it to get dark, come out here, adjust the lights if we need. All right, so all those are installed. As you can see, we got the two on this side, two on the far side, and then the alternating walkway lights. I can already tell looking at this one, it's obviously not centered. It's gonna have to go to the right a couple inches, 6 inches or so. But yeah, they're all installed. So let's just wait until it gets dark. We'll come back out here and see what it looks like. All right, it is the next day. So we came out here last night and just checked and made sure all of the lights were shining where we wanted them to before we go in and bury this cable. We did end up switching this one a little bit further to the right, about 6 inches like we said, but everything else looked good. So we're ready to bury this cable in the rock and then set up our transformer to make sure it's turning on and off at the exact times we want it to. So let's get to burying this line. All right, so we got all of the wire buried as you just seen in the time lapse. The last thing we need to do is come in and set this thing up to turn the lights on and off when we want. So we also installed this photo cell, which it comes with this bracket and 2 screws. You just screw it to the siding or wherever you are installing. This is what's going to pick up when it gets dark out and turn our lights on. You also have these options here. So you have your manual on off, photo cell on off, photo cell on, time off, which is how we're going to set it up. So we're going to select that one right here. We're going to come in, set our time. We're going to turn it off. We put it for 12:30. So we're going to go 12:30 in the morning. Right now it's 5:12 p.m. So when this gets dark, when it gets dark out, this is going to pick up that it's dark, turn the lights on, and then the timer is going to turn them off at 12:30. That is going to do it for this week's video. As you guys can see, for just a couple $100, you can really increase the curb appeal of your own home. I will put some links down below for everything I used in my application. But make sure you guys like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe. We have new videos every single week. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.